Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about Doctor Who, the collection range, and animations. And how are they going to tackle the animations when they start putting out the 60 seasons that have animations, which is pretty much all of them except season 2. Another reason they were clever to go ahead and do season 2 so they don't have to address this yet. But a lot of the animations, basically from Macroterra on, have black and white and color versions. And when those stories come out in the collection range, I'm curious, is both the black and white and the color version of each story going to be included? Because if they are, wouldn't you have to do separate discs for that, which increases the discount? And those 60 seasons already have so many stories. So I'm curious how you could do that, because I don't know if you could put both versions on one disc. I know Blu-rays, of course, can hold a lot more information than DVDs, but I don't know just how many episodes they can hold before you start running into compression issues, and we don't want that. But this is supposed to be the definitive version of these stories and is the collection range. So I'm curious, will they put, like, say, the Macroterra, will they put both of them on there? Now, the Macroterra is 8 episodes. You probably could compress 8 episodes onto one disc, I suppose. But let's look at something more likely coming out, like season 5, where the 2 stories involved that we're discussing would be the Abominable Snowmen and Fury from the Deep, which is they're both 6-parters. And I don't know if you could get 12 episodes on one disc, especially considering if you did the black and white ones, you'd probably want the original episode 2 on there as well, so 13 episodes. So would you split that into 2 discs? You have the color disc and the black and white disc, but then you also have to take into account, what about the recons, the actual reconstructions? People are probably going to want those too. Again, the collection is supposed to be the definitive versions of these stories, and you can't really afford to do 3 discs just for, say, Abominable Snowmen. So how do you do that? How do you incorporate all 3 versions of these newer stories, the black and white, the color, and the recon? Do you somehow try to get all 3? Do you ditch the recon and just do the 2 animated versions? A lot of people would be upset with that. Do you split the recons on the other disc? Like maybe the black and white disc has episodes 1, 2, and 3 of the recon, and the color disc has 4, 5, and 6 of the recon. Some people might complain about that, but you're still only putting 9 episodes on each disc. How will that affect a Blu-ray? Can a Blu-ray handle that without compression issues? And then, of course, the question of, if you only do one version of the animation, which one do you do? If you can only do the black and white or the color, that's where it gets really hairy. Do you stick with the black and white 4:3 aspect ratio? Though, to be fair, some of them aren't in 4:3 like Macroterra. To be more traditional and in line, and so it fits in with the surviving stories in that season? Or do you do the color version, which is, a little more, color and in 16:9, and obviously what the BBC considers to be the primary version, because anytime we get trailers or clips from these animated stories, they're always in color. So it's obvious that the BBC considers the color versions of these animations to be the primary ones and the black and white ones to be the kind of secondary traditional ones. So if they could only put one on there, which one would they put and which one should they put? More than likely the color ones, that seems to be their primary focus. But there's a lot of people going to be upset either way. Some people are going to want both. Some people are going to want the black and white one because they're traditionalists, they're purists. They think they want their Troughton in black and white. They want the 4:3. I watched Abominable Snowmen, and the only one I've watched so far is the black and white version, because that's the traditional version I want to see. Of course, if you did the black and white one, then people would have a fit because they want the color one. And then people are going to feel like they're getting robbed because they're not getting both. Although that would help the individual releases maintain their value, because only the individual releases would have both versions of the story and the recon. So maybe you do both of the animations and cut the recon. People are going to complain about that no matter what you do, but that would help the individual releases of these stories that us early adapters, the real big classic Who fans, that we've picked up. So we don't feel like we wasted our money on that. And again, if you do put all three on there, how do you do that without increasing the discount? You look at season 5, that has 7 stories. If you do black and white and color for both of the stories that have animations in black and white and color, which again is Abominable Snowman and Fury from the Deep, if you do a disc for each one, that's 9 discs. And you could do a 9 disc set. 9 disc isn't a stretch. That's what season 2 is. I could see them doing that. But what about the reconstructions? Because I think people would want the reconstructions. Some people prefer those. I don't know, because you can't do an extra disc just for the recons. That would be an 11 disc set. They're not going to do that. You're pushing it with 9 discs, because even at 9 discs, you don't have a dedicated disc for bonus material. Again, much like season 2, you just have to spread the extras out among the individual story disc, which is what they're doing with season 2. I guess, again, you could squeeze the recons on, like maybe episodes 1, 2, and 3 on the black and white disc, and 4, 5, and 6 on the color disc. It's a little inconvenient swapping discs, but not that big a deal. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to approach the color stories. Now, some of them's not that big a deal, because some of the stories are only in black and white. You know, some of the early ones like Reign of Terror, the Moon Base, stuff like that, they're only in black and white. Power of the Daleks, only in black and white. Though I'm curious if they'll include both versions of Power of the Daleks in the season 4 set, the 2016 and the 2020 release. Probably just the 2020 release. But that's really my thing for the animations, the later animations from Macra on. What versions will they include in the collection range? Will they include just one between the black and white and the color? Will they decide on which one they want and only put that one on there? Will they put both on there? Because I figure they have to have their individual releases. You can't just put both on one disc without compression issues, can you? I don't really know, but I'm curious. And again, people would probably want that recon as well, so it gets kind of hairy on how do you make that work. So I would like to know what you think on the animations. What do you think they'll do? What would you like them to do? If they only did color or black and white, which one would you want? And would you prefer both versions of the animation and no recon, or one version of the animation and a recon? So comment down below, because I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do, there's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to 2 of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane and the 5th Doctor. I appreciate their continued support as I do the support of all of my patrons. I have a P.O. box down there as well if there's anything you would like to send me that you want me to look at and review. And I also have a link to my Amazon wish list down there if you want to check that out. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.